So teams are out for this Saturday's games. Italy versus England, Wales versus Scotland, loads of very interesting selections. Let's get into it in this video, sponsored by Lifting Giants. And there's so many interesting calls on the England side because the Italian side is very, very settled. And by contrast, England was probably always going to be a bit more mixed up, a bit more new looking, a bit of experience in there, definitely. Maybe you could argue some experience elbowed in where maybe people wouldn't want it, but let's get into it. Let me know what you think of this England side because it's definitely going to raise a few questions. Front row wise though, Joe Marler, I wanted him starting at loosehead and he is. He's our best scrummager. Him starting, Genge coming on, should be our best 1-2. As long as Genge's scrummaging is up to mark, his impact, his carrying off the bench could be really good. So I like that 1-2 there. The new captain, Jamie George, he's obviously going to start and probably play a lot of this game, but always excited to see the explosive Theo Dan off the bench. Will Stewart gets a nod at tight head, and yes, we're definitely struggling for tight heads. I thought maybe Cole to start and maybe Stewart coming on, something like that. I don't think there is a good answer. Not overly convinced with the impact of Cole, but I'm not sure there's a great way round. It could go anyway, so let's hope that Stewart does well. He's got plenty of experience, so big game for him. With the absence of George Martin, we have the best 3 second rows all involved. Itoje and Chesham were a likely partnership for sure. Itoje's a vice-captain to Jamie George, and then Alex Cole's on the bench. He's got a few caps already, but essentially kind of uncapped. It's very exciting. I actually quite like the bench. We'll come into it in a minute. But yeah, I think that's actually 3 very good second rows. And then the big calls there. At number 6 in the back row, it's Ethan Roots. Got no problem with Ethan Roots as a player. Very honest, very hard-working, like his attitude a lot. But, you know, with Pearson in the squad, with Cunningham South in the squad, kind of parachuting in a New Zealander into the English team kind of just doesn't sit quite right. I'm not saying he's not eligible and he hasn't worked hard for it. I'm sure he's going to give everything and I wish him luck, but just doesn't quite sit right for me. Anyway, let me know what you think. Not the tallest either. Cunningham South might have been a better line-out option. I was kind of leaning towards Cunningham South as the starter. But anyway, I'm sure Ethan Roots will hit hard and work really hard, so good luck to him. But yeah, doesn't quite feel right. On the bench, though, it is Cunningham South, and he will probably come on at 6. But he plays 8 as well, and Bernal covers 7, so I guess it's all covered in the back row. Anyway, Sam Underhill plays open side. Only 30 caps. I thought he actually had more, to be honest. 27 years old, and he should be in his absolute prime, so no reason he shouldn't have a great game. And Bernal, let's hope he carries on his form from the World Cup. Super explosive, of course. In over maybe the other number 8 there, Dombrandt. No Dombrandt in the squad at all. Some fans, some not with Dombrandt. I think he's got potential but hasn't shown it yet, so that's an interesting debate. Certainly not a particularly big back row and not a particularly tall back row. So a bulk of the line-out work's going to have to be done by Itoje and Chesham. Let's hope that's not too easy to read. Backline-wise, Mitchell gets over, I think, an infected cut to start, which is great. Alongside George Ford, the experience. I would have been happy with Finn Smith, but I guess it makes sense to have some experience in there, and Ford is a vice-captain anyway. Into the 90s in caps for Ford, so let's see how they go. The centres, well, there weren't many choices. I was thinking Tommy Freeman was going to be in the back 3, which he is. So really, Dingwall at 12 and Henry Slade at 13 was the only logical choice. Dingwall, he's uncapped, but I don't think he's going to play like an uncapped player. I think he's got an old head there on young shoulders, even though he hasn't played international. I think he's going to be fine. Is it explosive enough? Is it going to make breaks? That's the question I'm wondering. And back 3, yeah, we've kind of got 3 full backs, as I kind of guessed when I did my guessing Borthwick's team. Tommy Freeman there at 14, Elliot Daly on the other wing, the way I thought it was going to be. They're good players. Tommy Freeman's probably the quickest of the lot, and he's not express quick, so it's not the quickest backline. Not particularly explosive, but they should be technically excellent, so hopefully it's a low error backline. Let me know if you're a bit disappointed with that. But we'll see. I think it's a great chance for Italy to beat England, but I do think England are favourites and I do expect them to win, but still lots of questions there. Bench is exciting. As I mentioned, the front row replacements. Cunningham South is super exciting. Only young, I think he's only about 20. Uncapped player, could play 8 and 6. Big ball carrier. could be needed. Some size coming on into the pack, into the back row. Danny Kerr gets in there over Ben Spencer, and Spencer's maybe the form man, but Kerr's still playing great. Loads of caps, nearly 100 for him as well. Finn Smith, hopefully he gets a cap. He looks like an all-round player of the future for England. Could be England's next starting 10, actually. And Emmanuel Faye-Wabusu, that's exciting. They could have maybe gone for a Furbank on the bench, which would have been fine, but getting Faye-Wabusu capped, getting him on there, getting some pace in that back line and some power, he's probably the only guy who really brings it at a top level. So it's exciting, but it is a bit experimental. They are vulnerable, and Italy will absolutely go at them. At this point, worth mentioning our sponsor, Lifting Giants. These ergonomically designed lifting blocks, finally someone's invented them, just came out before the World Cup. Loads of people are using them already. So easy. Fits in your hand like so. Reusable, really soft foam actually. Labelled left and right. Very good for forwards that. So I did ask them, can you give us a discount code for the Six Nations? And they're going to do that. So it's 10% off for the whole Six Nations. Link in the description below. So if you know a line-out lifter or you are a line-out lifter, you'll want a pair of these. So get involved in that. Onto this Italy team. Gonzalo Quesada may be a new coach, but this is not a new Italian outfit. They should be getting towards their peak. So many caps in this team, getting to that 30-40 cap level where they should be absolutely at their best. And they know England are vulnerable. Italy at home, this is definitely a chance for Italy. Never beaten England before. This is as good a chance as they've ever had. I am certain of it. Let's get into the team. Tommaso Allan, he gets moved around quite a lot at 15 now, which means Ange Kopowotsu, the pace on one wing, and Monty Ioane, the power on the other wing. It's really, really dangerous. You've got the muscle of Brex in the middle, maybe not the most subtle sometimes, but goodness me, he's powerful. And at halfbacks, they've got the Garbisi brothers together, which I like because Alessandro Garbisi is a talent, and I haven't really rated their nines as a top level 9 so far for Italy. No disrespect, but I think getting the Garbisis together is worth it. Paolo Garbisi, over 30 caps now, is obviously the first choice 10. And the pack, the caps in the pack, most of them are over 30. You've got the Canone brothers, another set of brothers, the captain Lamaro at 7. These guys have been there, done it. They will be 100% used to playing with each other. Like I said, a fantastic chance for Italy. I do think England will win, but it could be very close. Italy will absolutely go at it, but they've got to be more clinical than they were in the World Cup because they were disappointing then, and they will be driven by that. If you haven't entered one of my fantasy leagues, please do that below before the Six Nations starts. Change your team depending on, obviously, the selection here because you want starters in your team. That's just going to be good fun. Free, of course. It's the official Six Nations Fantasy League. And if you haven't entered the free giveaway for one of Blair Skivington's great pieces of rugby artwork, he's got loads on there. Look in the description below. That's going to be drawn in the fallow week. So just click on that competition link there for a free draw. So loads going on. Get stuck in. Wales versus Scotland. Wow. Wales is very different to what it was in the World Cup. Super experienced in the World Cup. Now, not so. It was always going to be because of players leaving, and injuries now has made it probably a bit worse, to be honest. George North hasn't recovered from a shoulder stinger, and Will Rowlands is unavailable. His wife's just had a baby. Best of luck with that, of course, but those are two massive blows. So this is a very inexperienced side indeed. Hopefully they play with nothing to lose, without a care in the world, but goodness me, that occasion of the Principality Stadium, could it be too much? We will find out. Starting from the back, very young, uncapped Cameron Winnett. He's the guy I wanted to play 15. I thought he was the best option, but goodness me, he hasn't played much senior rugby, let alone for Wales. But he's got the skills, he's got the counter-attack. Have a go, let's see what he's got. The more experienced Josh Adams on one wing, over 50 caps now. He's going to have to hold together this back three. Rio Dyer's got a bit of experience, but still only 14 caps. And that centre partnership looks a lot less dangerous without George North. He was the danger man in the World Cup. Owen Watkins been around, but he's not as dangerous as George North, all due respect. Nick Tompkins, gives it a go, but he's not the biggest. So Tompkins, Watkins, it's not the best centre partnership I've seen for Wales. Sam Costello at 10 probably is the future at fly half, but only 8 caps. So this could be a shaky back line. Let's see how it goes. They're not short of scrum half, so Gareth Davis is starting. I tend to prefer Thomas Williams, but they're both very good, so I don't mind which way round they do it, Davis and Thomas Williams. Then in the front row, the story there really is Leon Brown. Domachowski Elias I expected to start. Leon Brown, you know, he's 27, but he's never fulfilled his potential. So strong. Has he got his fitness there? Is he going to have a big game? This is huge for him. Hopefully he doesn't feel the pressure, but this is a massive moment in his career. Then in the second row, we've got young captain David Jenkins, only 21, crazy to think. But I think actually as a leader, he might be a bit more of a natural than maybe Sam Warburton was when he made the captaincy aged 22. So I haven't really got too much problems there, but obviously a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Hopefully he'll just ride with it. I think he will. Adam Beard obviously starts because Rowlands was out. Who knows would have started if Rowlands was there. But yeah, Adam Beard's 51 caps is going to be needed for sure because this is a new look back row as well. I thought it was going to be both of them at 6 when I picked my Welsh team, and it is, just because he's physical, he's hard, he puts it around, as does Wainwright. Raphael's a good 7, but both of them, Raphael, Wainwright, you wouldn't say on paper it was one of Wales's best back rows because they've had amazing ones. They're going to need huge games. This whole pack's going to need a massive game, and like I said, that backline as well. Definitely question marks asked around this Welsh team, but let's see if they can step up. On the bench, lots of inexperience, 5 with 2 caps or less. I think their joker card there is Mason Grady, could come on the wing, or the centres. What a beast of a player he is. Maybe he should have started. We'll see if that's the right call. And last but not least, the visitors, Scotland. More settled than Wales, but not all plain sailing at the moment. Lots of injuries coming in. New co-captain Rory Darge, he's injured for this game. Maybe a bigger loss, though, is Blair Kinghorn. He's been a brilliant player for them there. Out and out 15. That's a massive blow, to be honest. Maybe a little dent in their confidence going down. We'll see, because that back 3 looks very different now. Kyle Rowe, only 1 cap, has to slot straight in at 15. Probably would have been Ollie Smith, but he got injured. Then we have Stain and Duan van der Merwe on the wings. Massive wingers. Big power there. And the centres, the danger men, Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, retain their partnership from the World Cup. So it's super dangerous, but certainly Kyle Rowe under a fair bit of pressure there at 15. I mean, Cameron Winnis, another newbie as well, so a tale of the 2 newbie 15s. Then the captain, Finn Russell. Who'd have thought it years ago to say Finn Russell was the captain of Scotland, but there we go. And I think he'll really step up to that. He's experienced now. I think he'll relish in that captaincy. Might make him a bit more sensible. I don't think it's going to change the way he plays, but maybe the way he communicates, etc. might be a bit more sensible. Who knows? Ben White at 9. He's been the first choice for a while, but can George Horne make a charge? Plenty of you guys saying that George Horne maybe should be the starting 9. So that's a good battle. First choice front 5. Scoom Turner, Xander Fagerson, Richie Gray, Scott Cummings. Couldn't be better for Scotland there. Plenty of caps for sure. And Crosby has to come in to 6. Richie back to 7. The vice captain now, Richie. He might have been dropped altogether. He had the captaincy removed, so he's got a point to prove. That's interesting, but very quick back row, isn't it? Crosby, Richie, Matt Fagerson coming in. Super explosive for Glasgow Warriors. Really deserves his place back, displacing Big Jack Dempsey. So a very, very quick back row indeed. You'd certainly say it's a more settled team overall than Wales. Then on the bench we see 2 uncapped front rowers in Hepburn and Miller Mills. Skinner's flexible, so he can cover 6 and second row. Dempsey probably an 8, but then Crosby could go 7, so they've got the cover there, it's not a problem. Then Horne, like I said, gunning for that 9 spot. Healy covering 10, and then the super skillful Cameron Redpath on the bench to round it out in what is probably on paper a better Scottish team than the Welsh team, but the Welsh are at home. Anything could happen. Let me know what you think of all those selections. Enter the Fantasy League if you haven't already. Enter the draw for the free artwork if you haven't already. 10% off those lifting charts, lifting blocks. And yeah, love to know what you think, and I'll catch you next time.